Oh, let's go. So, a couple days ago, I posted a video making my decision on what my forever skateboard trucks would be. And I landed on these Thunders with the team base plate with Crux bushings as my forever go-to truck. And now here we are, just a couple days later, making a video about another set of trucks. So, Grind King came out with their new Locker 2s. And I'm really excited to test them and to see the improvements that they made. Grind King Locker 2s. I got a few disclaimers I want to go over. First disclaimer is Grind King did send me these trucks. So just be aware of that as you're watching the video. Is I'm not being paid to make this video. And then also another thing is, in the email, they specifically said they want both positive and negative feedback about these trucks. Grind King came out with their Locker V1s, version 1s, and they sent them out to a variety of different people to test. And they took all of that feedback, and recently, just a week ago, they made a 45-minute video, posted it to YouTube. I'll link that video in the description below, where they broke down all of the things that they changed on the truck and all the feedback they've gotten. They got feedback that the kind of yoke that holds the bushing in would get some cracks in it. For some people, not everybody. They got feedback about the base plate. They got feedback about all manner of things in the trucks, and they addressed those issues and they fixed those issues. So I just think it's impressive how transparent the company has been, and that makes me really trust the brand, and that makes me respect the heck out of Grind King. Another disclaimer, I am not the most talented skater in the world. I consider myself to be an average skater, and I actually think that makes reviews like this or feedback like this actually more important. There's really talented skaters out there that will go and review a product, and at the end of the day, like highly talented skaters, they can skate anything and they can be successful on basically any type of truck. An average skater like me, we need every advantage we can get. We need everything that we can get to help out our skating. So I actually think feedback from me, like I'm going to notice and be impacted by things that are flaws with the truck. I'm going to notice those, and I'm going to be impacted by that more than a highly talented skater might be. But I've come up with kind of a system for thinking about trucks and communicating and describing trucks so that you as a viewer can understand if it's a product that you want to purchase or not. I have built a chart. This chart, hopefully you can see it on there, and I'm going to add a digital version of this chart as well. But we have an x-axis and a y-axis. The x-axis represents the lean of the skateboard as we are riding, so the actual lean of the deck itself. And on the far right and far left are the points of wheel bite, and the center is no lean at all, okay? Then at the top, we have how much the truck is turning. That's going to be the y-axis. So max turn up here at the top. And then at the bottom, I'm going to make like a little chart that's going to show at the bottom. I'm going to make a little chart that shows bushings and the softness of bushings, because that's another part of it. Is your turn can have a certain level of arc that's happening because of how much you're leaning, but also bushings are going to impact how easy it is to lean. And it's not going to actually change the dynamics of the turn, but what it is going to change is how easy it is to get to that turn. I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit confusing. So I'm going to draw this out hopefully so you can see it a little bit better. So independents have what I would consider to be a fairly sharp turn. If I lean a little bit on an independent, I'm already turning. If I lean a lot, I'm turning a lot. It's a very sharp and very one-to-one kind of ratio of your turn. So when we chart that out on my magical chart, which is hopefully showing up here, an independent truck is going to be much more, wow, this is difficult to draw upside down. Hopefully this comes across. It's going to be much more like a V shape right there. The real thing that people I think get hung up on is what's happening here from no lean to just a little bit of lean. And with an independent truck, even with just a little bit of lean, we're getting some good turn in there. And I think that's what people call like a turning truck, right? A very surfy truck. You're pretty much never going straight. Unless your board is 100% flat, you're not riding straight. A little bit of lean, is going to make you turn. Thunders also, once you start leaning, you do start turning, but it's a slower turn at the beginning, and then the turn does get faster, but it never gets quite as sharp as an independent. So if I was to draw a thunder, it never quite gets as sharp as a independent, and it's got a little arc to it, in my opinion. So it's a little more subtle turn at the very beginning. Here we are, with a little bit of lean, we are turning, but not quite as much as an Indy. And then at the end, it starts to sharpen up the turn at the end. What's interesting though is independents had a barrel bushing, meaning it would be easy to turn at the beginning of the turn, but it'd kind of stiffen up towards the end. This is so hard to explain. I hope this is making sense. A thicker line is more difficult to lean your board, and a smaller line is easier to lean your board. So with a barrel bushing, as it gets wider, it's a little bit harder to lean to the end, whereas a Thunder had cone bushing stock, so it's pretty much easy to lean all the way, beginning to end. This is so ridiculous. I hope this is making sense. Last but not least is going to be, I'm going to talk about the Ventures that I tested. So Ventures were a little bit weird, and why I think people call them not very turny is a Venture truck has this area in the middle where it's not really turning very much at all. It's kind of like a dead zone between here and here where there's no turn happening whatsoever. And then it follows almost the same arc as the Thunders to the end, and it gets the same deep carve at the end, but it just takes a little more lean to get there. I hope that makes sense. The digital version is probably going to be easier to read. You have this area in the middle where you turn like this, and the board can even be kind of wobbly, but it doesn't actually turn very much. And then once you get to kind of a medium lean, that's when it starts turning. It's not that Ventures don't turn, it's that it's a different flavor of turn. It's a different type of turn. And that type of turn has that dead zone in the middle. And what that dead zone means is when it's actually not necessarily a bad thing. Some people might want that dead zone because if you land on an independent, kind of like off lean a little bit, your board's going to be shooting to the side. And that can actually make landing tricks sometimes a little bit more challenging. The reason I explain all that is because when I am reviewing these, I don't want to necessarily just say, these trucks are good, these trucks are bad. These trucks turn good, these trucks turn bad. Now, the moment of truth. 6. So I told them I didn't know what color was coming. They asked what color I wanted. I said, chef's choice, whatever you give me. I said, orange is a little too loud for me, so I didn't want orange, but I was down with any other color. And I actually kind of wanted these. I like the blue. We also have their different bushings. So tri-cush bushing system. So what that means is each of these bushings that's in here, there's actually 3 different durometers, 3 different types of hardness. There's the bottom is the softest, I believe. The top is the hardest. That black at the top is the hardest. And then this the second top bushing, I guess, the bottom top bushing, the medium most bushing is they said it's the most expensive material there because that's what provides the rebound to make the truck kind of come back to center. But then they have a soft version and a hard version, which I might try out later. Today I'm just going to stick with the medium bushings, and I'm going to try to break them in. Another disclaimer. I can't give a full 100% final conclusion on these trucks today because I believe it takes multiple skate sessions before the bushings truly break in. I do think there's some other things that we can judge today, which is we can judge kind of the characteristics of the turn, even if the bushings aren't fully broken in. Geometry wise, let me see here. So they are slightly taller than a Thunder. They look about the same height. I'm going to confirm this, and then I'm going to add it into the video, but they look roughly the same height as my Ventures. I'm so hyped. So the thing with these Grind King lockers is I think the big party trick is this locker part of it, right? The fact that these should theoretically help you lock into grinds, which I am going to test. So I'm going to be breaking this into at least 3 videos, maybe more. Video number 1 is going to be my initial impressions today. Video number 2, part 2 to this, is I'm going to test these after the bushings have broken in. And then part 3 to this is I have never landed a 50-50 on a round rail. And so part 3 is going to be to see if these can help me lock in and learn a 50-50 on a round rail. There's so much tech in these, though, besides just the party trick, which is the locking mechanism. Some of the other tech that's really cool is the adjustable base plate. So you can move the base plate forward or backwards by each of these amounts. I need to measure and see how much each amount moves, but that's going to adjust your wheelbase. Adjustable wheelbase, I think, is actually huge because it increases the amount of decks that you can skate. The bushings were redesigned because some people in the V1s noticed that the bushings would crush. There is a sleeve inside the bushing that holds the kingpin in and keeps that sturdy. The base plates are made to be a little bit wider and dissipate the pressure a little bit more, so it creates less pressure cracks on your skateboard. There's a U beam, so the axle does not come straight across. It actually drops down and creates a U shape. It's going to make it stronger, number 1, but it's also going to keep the axle from sliding left and right. I am so excited. I need to just put them on and try these. The furthest in setting is a way shorter wheelbase than Thunder's. Okay, I think the Thunder wheelbase is somewhere between the widest setting and the medium setting. The widest wheelbase is probably the same as about a Venture. The most narrow wheelbase is probably the same as about like an Independent or an Ace or something like that. I'm going to just start off in the middle wheelbase. So I've got the medium bushings, the middle wheelbase. Let's test these at their just middlemost settings possible. So you do have those 3 wheelbase settings, which, like I said, can change the turniness of the skateboard. You can change the bushings so much. So you have soft bushings and hard bushings, but even within just the standard bushings that come with it, you can take out that medium top bushing and only have a hard top bushing. You could take out that hard top bushing and only have the medium top bushing. So there's just a lot you can play around with and customize and make these trucks fit your personal skating. Trucks are on, wheels are on. We are ready to go with the Grind King lockers. I kind of thought, just based off of like looking at pictures and stuff, that these were going to look just like extremely different and extremely unique and bizarre on my skateboard. But I will say, like, they don't look that crazy different. First time stepping on the board with the old Grind King lockers. Okay, bushings are very loose. Again, these are the medium bushings. I have not tightened them, not even a little bit, and also not broken in. Ooh, they turn. Oh, they turn. Wow. They have a sound to them too. Like, let me be quiet. Let me actually hold the mic close to this so you can maybe hear it. Almost a rattliness to them that I don't have with my other trucks, and I don't know what that is. It's not a bad thing. I actually kind of like the sound. It makes it sound more snappy. That might just be because they are looser than I would personally skate them. So maybe it's just that looseness of the truck. It might take a minute for my flat ground tricks to feel more natural because the turn is happening so quickly. Gosh, I might actually have to tighten them. Okay. So it's really interesting too. Like, we definitely have a base plate that sticks out further than the Thunder base plate, but I have not made any marks on the base plate despite 3 nose slide attempts, meaning that this angled curb on a curb that has an angle like this, and this is the kind of standard parking curb here on the East Coast, at least in my area, you really only get the wheels touching. You don't get the base plate touching. So for all that worrying that we do about the Thunder base plate, there's still obstacles where the base plate never touches. These trucks are so quick to turn with these medium bushings not broken in. Like, it feels like a very loose truck. Let's see if I can get wheel bite. Oh my gosh. That legitimately might be the sharpest turn I've ever had. So I did this test in Friday's video with the Ventures and the Thunders, and they had the same arc to their turn. This is sharper. I'm gonna see if I have that footage doing this exact turn right here, because this is like way sharper. I mean, that's crazy. Here I think I can do a full turn before I even, I mean, that is like really sharp, and I don't even think I was at full 100% lean. I mean, look at that. That's wild. This is the deepest turn I've ever felt on a truck. Now, they did say the turning geometry on the Locker 2 is different from the turning geometry on the Locker 1. They said they've worked on it and improved it. I don't know what improving it means, but my feeling is their version of improvement means making it really sharp. Let's see about the dead zone. Let's see if there's like an area where you can lean and the truck just goes straight. No, it's pretty immediate. I'm gonna put that chart up on the screen that I talked about earlier. This truck feels very much along the lines of more of an independent, more of a ace truck, I guess. I haven't ridden aces. Among the like quote unquote tourney trucks, indies are the only ones I've ridden. Let's try some tricks. The looseness right now is like on a level that I'm not comfortable with, so I gotta get used to it. Oh, my flat ground tricks are gonna look terrible. I actually was expecting a more stable turn, more in line with Thunders and Ventures. I was not anticipating this to be really turny like a independent or an ace. With my landing, should I just tighten them? So with your traditional trucks, like I said, you don't tighten them until you've skated for a session, because the bushings are going to firm up and harden and break in. And if you tighten them before they break in, you can kind of crush the bushings and kind of ruin them. Oh, but there is like a responsiveness in that top bushing where like it's easy to turn, but then it returns to center really fast. If you're wanting to make these trucks exactly tunable to your preference, what you could do is you could think to yourself, okay, it's turning really easy, so I need a harder bottom bushing, but I like how it's turning back to center, so maybe I keep the top bushing. I don't know, there's just a lot you can play around with. Look how tight this turn is though. Watch this. That's crazy. I'm having trouble with my flip tricks right now because when I'm setting up, it's just moving side to side so easily. Again, these are the things that like we have to come back after they break in. After they've broken in and after I've found the tightness that works for me. Oh, that felt good. Here's one thing that's interesting is I'm doing slappy 50/50s on a angled curb, and I'm getting wear marks here, but nothing on the locker. I just find that interesting. Obviously, I think this is made for sharper ledges and rounded rails, but just kind of interesting that we're not even touching there. All right, let's talk real quick. Let's see how much time we have. I'm actually thinking about changing skate spots. Let me come towards the camera so you can see this. So I'm going straight, just a little lean, and we're turning. Let's do that again with a medium amount of lean. So that's a pretty sharp turn. Deep lean, honestly, is making like the craziest amount of turn I've ever experienced. Add that to the fact that these bushings are very soft right now because they're not broken in. It's making for a very unstable experience. So again, I just want to clarify, I have not tightened these trucks at all. This is day one. This is 20 minutes of skating. So they are not broken in at all. I do think they're going to harden up. And I do think if I tighten them, it would be a really, really nice turn. Oh, switch ollie. In 2020, I'm an art teacher, and we started teaching remotely. We started teaching from home. So really the only thing I could teach was things that were done on the computer because the school had given the kids laptops. I did a bunch of lessons on graphic design. And I had the kids come up with a pretend brand, a fake brand, and they had to make a logo and a word mark and an advertisement and all this stuff using graphic design skills. Well, I had to make an example for the kids, a teacher example. And so I made a fictional skateboard company called Groove, based on the idea that a truck company could make a skateboard truck where the groove for your 50/50s is already built into the truck. Isn't that crazy? Mine was just an example for middle school kids to learn how to do graphic design. they were actually serious about making the product and making it work. But just kind of funny. And that's one of the reasons why I reached out to Grind King and really wanted to test these. Because I felt a connection to this product. Okay. Oh, they're so loose. Oh my gosh. Let's see, let's do half a turn. Having this little window at the back, which I think is to hold the axle nut on when you're changing your bushings out and stuff. But having that window there to be able to see how many threads are showing is actually incredible. Oh, now we're in business. It's interesting how different these trucks sound. I know you're not supposed to tighten your trucks in your first session, but honestly, I had to. And now they're feeling good. If you get these trucks and you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, I don't like how turny it is. Well, you have two options. If I think the lean is happening too easily, I could throw a hard bottom bushing on. The second thing you can do is if your turn radius feels too tight, if it feels like your turn is happening too quickly, then you can actually change your wheelbase to the wider setting and the turn is going to happen not quite so fast. Just first impressions, because that's what this video is supposed to be, is that if you were to think about the chart that I put up earlier, and if we're going to think about what type of turn this truck has, it is definitely closer in line with what I drew out for the independent truck. We are much more in line with this independent kind of V shape, where just a little bit of lean makes a little bit of turn. Like it does start to turn. Medium lean, and you're already turning pretty good with a medium lean. And then obviously we get our max turn with max lean. But what's crazy is that max turn, like I was skating like pretty tight circles. Like this has a tight turning radius, and I'm on the medium wheelbase, the middle wheelbase. So like I could make it even tighter by bringing them closer together, which would just be the most ridiculously tight turn angle. I don't know how anybody could do that. I might even move these out wider to get just less of a turn. Any statement I made today that dealt with the bushings and the feeling of the bushings, please take that with a grain of salt because they're not broken in. I don't like reviewing and I don't like making broad statements about the bushings, about the turn of the skateboard until they've been skated and broken in. I definitely want to learn 50/50s on a round rail with these. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you so much to Grind King for sending these out to me. Like I am kind of new to the YouTube thing. Like I've been doing YouTube since February, and it's all brand new to me. And I just feel really humbled. Like the fact that so many of you are out there watching my videos, really is humbling to me. That you care about some of the things that I say in my videos. I've gotten so many messages from people that have said like, I'm getting back into skating as an adult and your videos have been inspiring to me. And gosh, it just like I knew I wanted to make this YouTube channel, but I didn't know that it was going to make an impact like that. And then to be able to reach out to a company like Grind King and have them send me something to test, like it just feels really cool. And I'm really excited about that. And all that thanks comes to you, the viewer, for sitting down and watching my videos and coming back to watch more and subscribing and all that stuff to make this happen and make this possible. So I have some more videos coming out soon that have already been filmed. So those videos I'm obviously going to be back on the the Thunders. That does not mean that I dislike these Grind Kings. That just means I filmed those videos already previously. I didn't immediately switch back to Thunders. If that makes sense. That's just the weird timing of YouTube because I wanted to get this video out as soon as I could. So there's definitely more testing coming. I also might test the other bushings, the hard bushings. I kind of want to switch out to the hard bushings almost immediately. You know what? Grind King sent them to me. Why not? Let's switch to the hard bushings. Let's go to the other skate spot. The hard bushings feel exactly what I'm used to. Now I feel like I can properly skate. It still feels pretty quick and agile. Oh my gosh. I am a little bit creeped out. Refrigerator right here that had duct tape closing it, and it smells super rotten. First session, being on the medium bushings was quite challenging. It was not easy. The medium bushings just didn't suit my skating, and unless they're gonna break in. These hard bushings are a lot better for me. Thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Peace. And I think before we go, we should open that. And I'm pretty creeped out by this. I think it's a refrigerator. Oh my gosh, it smells so bad. This might be the stupidest thing I've ever done. Oh my gosh.